All right, everyone, I'm going to get started. Welcome to the Tampa Bay Regional GIS Data and Technology Group. My name is Ashley Mott. I'm the GIS manager at TBRPC, and I'm joined by Allison Bednar, GIS analyst, and there's some other TBRPC folks on the line. So thanks everybody for coming today. We got what I think is a cool agenda. Let me know if I'm advancing slides, please.
Yes.
Thank you. So first off, welcome. And if you would drop your name and affiliation in the chat so we can make those connections and see who's on the call beyond our four little squares at the top. Allison and I are going to be flip-flopping between speaking duties this morning. Allison's going to get us started by just sharing a little bit of work she's been doing on a GIS contact list and a newsletter to support this group specifically. And then we're going to get to a presentation with Corey Denninger, who's the Mapping and GIS Manager at Southwest Florida Water Management District. And Corey's going to show share a lot of imagery and data that they all produce at the Water Management District. And then I'm hoping we can spend about 20 or 30 minutes on a discussion about AI for GIS. And then at the bottom of the hour, Sarah Vitale is going to share some information about our new Civic technology program. I'm just muting some of you all right now. Hang on. Yeah, Megan, if you could help me with that, I would appreciate it. And for you all that have joined this meeting in the past, you've seen this slide before. I just want to share these group goals with you all real quick. If there's anyone new on the line, we're really focused on both GIS data and technology in this group. So one of the goals of this group is to identify and resolve data gaps in the region, reduce duplicative efforts. TBRPC wants to facilitate technical assistance and educational opportunities and connect you all with regional, state, and federal agencies. And we also want to explore and document geospatial technology trends in the region. And I'm hoping to kind of dig into that in our discussion later on AI. So I'm going to pass the mic to Allison to talk about a few items she's working on. The first of which is the contact list, which I stole this idea from Renee at Pinellas County. I don't know if she's on the line, but thanks, Renee. So Allison, you want to take over and I'll advance slides for you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I dropped a link in the chat to a regional GIS contact list that I started to put together. So I'm just compiling our regional GIS contacts. It's definitely not complete and it's definitely in need of some more additions. So if you have anyone that you'd like to add to the list or you do not see yourself on the list, please feel free to email or drop it in the chat. And I also added specialty and department. If it's not correct, please let me know and I can adjust it. We're thinking of maybe adding some other categories to the GIS contact list, like data owner or any relevant projects that you're working on. So if you have anything you'd like to add to this list, please let me know. And this list is going to be internal only. It will not be shared with outside groups. So just letting you know that we'll keep it internal. You can go to the next slide, Ashley. And then we're also going to be starting a quarterly GIS group newsletter. It's going to be compiled with project highlights, data tool spotlights, regional job openings, upcoming regional events, and meeting materials. We're still compiling projects and data tools that are relevant right now. So if you have any projects that are ongoing or you have just completed that you would like to spotlight in this upcoming newsletter, we'll be sending it out within the next week or so. Probably we'll be working on it tomorrow. So if you have anything you'd like to add to the newsletter, please drop it in the chat or send us an email or any events that you'd like us to keep note of or job openings. I've been scouring LinkedIn and different websites looking for different job openings and regional events, but it's definitely could be missing something. So please let us know if there's anything you'd like us to mention this month. And if you'd like to opt out, please DM Ashley via the Zoom chat and we won't have you on the email list.
Thanks, Allison. Now I'm gonna pass the mic to Corey. As I mentioned at the top, Corey is the Mapping and GIS Manager at Southwest Florida Water Management District. And Corey, I'm gonna stop sharing and see
All
if
right.
we can figure this out.
And then I'm going to share, I guess.
All right.
Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes. I can
Okay.
see your desktop, Corey.
Oh, only the desktop?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. Sorry, folks. I think I got it here. Let's see. Trying to select. So you don't see a web browser?
Now I see the geo resources, the FGIO stuff.
Great. Great. Do you also see the videos of all your faces?
No.
Okay, good. Because I can see it. It's on my screen. All right, good. Good. Excellent. Let me try to move this out of the way. Does anybody know how I can minimize this toolbar at the top? Let's see.
Yeah, I usually push it over to my second screen, Corey.
I know I'm working from home today, so I only have one.
Oh, I
All
can't
right.
help you. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I can get around it. But yeah, I know like in Teams you can drag it. All right. So thank you for the introduction, Ashley, and thanks for allowing me to speak here and show off some of our data and things that we do here at the Southwest Florida Water Management District. A little bit about me. I graduated from USF years ago, and while I was working on my undergrad, I got exposed to all the data that the Southwest Florida Water Management District, or as a lot of people call it, SwiftMud, was putting out there. And a lot of the classes that I was taking, we were basically using, SwiftMud's GIS data to perform certain functions and learn how to use GIS. So I got a job with Pinellas County for a few years and then made my way over to the district in 2002. So I've been here 23 years now. And in the middle of that time, I also joined the Navy Reserves and got activated and mobilized for 2 years on active duty at MacDill. So I was able to pick up some additional GIS skills there, and so lots of experience there with I guess the county, state now, and the federal government with the military. So that's kind of a little bit about me. Um, so basically, I'm gonna show you some of the data that we have available. Many of you are probably aware of some of these things already or all of them. And then I'll also touch on and highlight some of the projects that we do here at the district, just to let you all know. And then I'll also provide some project highlights for you guys to use in your newsletter later on. I'll send an email. So if you go to the Southwest Florida Water Management District's website, you can also type in watermatters.org. This will take you to our homepage. Everybody can see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. And if you scroll down here, you can see data and maps. So if you click on that, this takes you to just different types of data that we have available. Rainfall, lake and river gauge heights, things like that. So you can click through and look at this type of data here. We have an environmental data portal, which is a map-based portal where you can look at different kind of data that we track. Again, like lakes and rivers and things like that. Our demographics page contains some of the data I'm going to show you here. That's in GIS Maps and Survey. The demographics is really more for requirements that we have for water use permits. So when a public supply utility comes in for a permit, there's certain things that are required if they pump out over 100,000 gallons a day. And some of that data is population data, which I'm going to show you here, but you can find some of that here as well. So if you come over to GIS Maps and Survey, click here. We have links to where to get ortho imagery. I'm going to show you some things from the Florida Geographic Information Office, also where you can get some imagery and LiDAR data. For those that may not be aware, the state of Florida does have a Florida Geographic Information Officer. That's Kim Jackson. Kim used to be the FDEP GIS lead there, and now she's the GIO. So I highly recommend you bookmark her page and look at that page every so often. And there's also a list you can get on the email list. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. So back to our data, if you come here, again, there's just all kinds of things you can do here. It also links you to Labins, and then you can also look at this benchmark interactive map that we have created to see where survey benchmarks are. If you come here to GIS data and go to the open data portal, we have, kind of adopted what Esri has recommended here as far as the different groups of data and the symbology for these icons that we have. So if you go through and navigate through each one of these groups, you'll definitely find a lot of good data if you've not already done so. So I know Ashley was not, she was kind of surprised, or I guess, or delighted to see some of the population data we have. So I'll show you that and then go through some of these other things relatively quickly, and I'll take some questions. So one of the things we do at the district is we model population estimates using the Florida Bureau of Economic and Business Research's population estimates and projections. So BEBR, or the Bureau of Economic and Business Research at UF, puts out data in tabular format. They don't really put out any GIS data, and they hadn't really for years. They're doing that a little bit more now than they used to be. And we map and model population estimates, which would be for the previous year. So for 2024's deliverable that we have for our project for population projections, we've got 2023 estimated population, and then we project out 2025, 2030, 2035, all the way out to 2050. And this is done at a parcel level. So BEBR will give you population for a county and sometimes for like metropolitan areas. And they will give you, say, Hillsborough County population in a tabular format, and they'll give you the low estimate, the medium estimate, and the high estimate. We map to the and model to the BEBR medium population estimates and projections. And then we take those projections and basically we have a company, GIS Associates, which the owner also now works for BEBR, so it's kind of convenient. They basically disaggregate that BEBR medium from the county total down to the parcel level. But they also use the latest census blocks to help with some of that and normalize some of those things. They also use future land use that we provide to them. So every year we go out and we kind of scour the internet, and when we can't find it, we contact municipalities and counties for their future land use data. And then we provide that to the consultant, so we know where to push and drive some of that population. Also kind of distance to roads. We also use environmental resource permits that we have here at our work at the district, because that's where we know residences and subdivisions exist. And then we also have ones that are currently under review, and then we have ones that folks come in and say, well, if I was going to do this, would this be approved? So we have kind of a future look at development as well. And so we provide all that to the consultant, and they do some modeling, and they kind of, spread out the population based on all that data, where it's going to be in the future. And that's at a parcel level. And so let's see here. I think there should be a link somewhere. Let's see. Here, supposed to be a link. Well, I can also go to our
It's at the bottom of that first page.
Oh, okay, because I knew it was they had to do a workaround for it. I don't see
No,
it.
the
Where is it?
page before that.
The home, Chorus, the homepage.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it used to be here. So we had some trouble with the large data sets that these are. And so we had to kind of come up with a little bit of a workaround. So instead of the open data portal, it's located here. So basically, if you were to, download each of these data sets and bring them into ArcGIS Pro or your favorite GIS software, there would be parcels. They're just the county property appraiser parcels as of last year. But then when you open the table, you click on a parcel, you open the table, you're going to get population for that parcel. Now they're estimates, and again, they're kind of disaggregated. And so when you add them back up, you'll get that UF Bieber medium total for that county. But when you go down to the parcel level, you're going to get maybe 2.38 people or, some numbers like that. And then what we do is we then grab the parcels. We usually convert them to points because it's easier to process. So we do basically the centroids of the parcels. And then we aggregate that to a water use permit service area or a city or whatever other area we're looking at. I've even done fire, I don't know I forget what they call them. It's like fire administrative areas where this particular firehouse serves this particular area, and they use that for budgeting purposes to go back to their municipality or their county to say, hey, we currently serve 20,000 people, but our estimates are by 2035 we're going to be serving 75,000. Therefore, we need to build some more fire stations. So you can use this data for whatever you want, but it's really cool data. I'm not going to show it off, just kind of show where you can get it. So thank you for that, Richard. And then we also have some seagrass data here, which you can download and play around with. And we have some nice story maps down here that you can look at. So lots of neat data that's available, but each one of these also has other data. One thing that we like to highlight, and I know a lot of folks use, is our land use land cover. And so our land use land cover, again, a little bit of workaround because of the law set. We use the basically 1999 Florida Department of Transportation's flux coding system. All that's being talked about kind of at the state level now. And we're thinking about how we might be adding some new codes like, what do you call it? The solar farms, but also taking advantage of technology and kind of like we're all going to talk about later with the advancements of processors and the speed, but also AI, deep learning, machine learning, segmentation analysis. There's all these advances that I believe, and I've been talking about for a couple of years, that we could take advantage of to map land use land cover differently, more finer scale, and to more accurately map what we're looking at. And it's called land use land cover because there's kind of a cross between them. Sometimes you have land cover that people map, and then you've got land use, right? More like what's it being used for, not what does it look like, as far as trees or vegetation or things like that. We kind of merge those two. But I think instead of mapping a whole whole subdivision, for example, take a whole subdivision from the entrance to, the houses that back up to the forest and kind of drawing one boundary around it and saying, this is 1,200 residential medium. I think we can take advantage of all these technologies and all these advances to map a residential street separate from that, and a residential sidewalk and an open space and a house and a driveway and things like that. So turf grass, we can take advantage of these technologies. So that's all being discussed now. But if you'd like to use our latest land use land cover, you can find it out here. 2023 should be available out here. That is our latest. So every 3 years for the last 15 years, the district has mapped or flown ortho imagery district wide. And our district covers 16 counties, from a portion of Levy County down to Charlotte County, out to portions of Polk County and then Tampa Bay, basically. So all or portions of 16 counties, we fly aerial imagery every 3 years, and then we follow that up with mapping the land use land cover changes that have taken place and kind of burning those into the previous iteration and then creating a new layer from that. And we get that independently QC'd, and we have a standard and specification for all that. So our land cover is really popular. Again, this population projection data is really neat, especially for planning purposes. And then just lots of other data you can take a look at out here. And then I also wanted to highlight the Florida Geographic Information Office's webpage. So I highly recommend, if you've not already bookmarked this page, visit it every so often. They do a very good job out here. And again, this is, Kim Jackson is the Florida GIO. And if you look at initiatives here, you can see statewide terrestrial LiDAR. And so if you click on this, it'll take you out to this link here, and you can see the status of basically LiDAR point cloud data that you can download by clicking on, this web page here, and it'll take you to a link, and the link, then you can download that data. So this is pretty cool stuff. And you click on download data. You can also look at where we have digital elevation models to download out here. And this was part of the statewide LiDAR collect that was done in 2019. And a couple of counties are left out here because they had already been done separately from the statewide LiDAR. They were so recent before this project kicked off statewide that they didn't feel the need to do it again for Hillsborough and Pasco, but those are also available out there. So it's a great resource to go out and download that LiDAR point cloud data and the digital elevation models that are available, and then ortho imagery as well. So we try to kind of, communicate with the GIO to make sure we kind of keep things in a central location instead of offering multiple pages that link to the same data. It'd be nice to have them all point. They also have some other interesting data here related to hurricanes and hurricane preparedness and Division of Emergency Management data and resources out here. There's also some UAV, UAS resources out here. So great webpage to use as well. So that's all I kind of wanted to show. I don't know, Ashley, is there something else you wanted me to touch on? If not, I'll take any questions if there are any.
Yeah, Corey, I know you're working off a single screen, but I dropped a link in the Zoom chat
Great.
that you all have pointed to me in the past, and this link has saved my oceans of time for me and many times. I just wanted to share an example. I had to do what essentially was a region-wide vulnerability assessment, and I had to mosaic all the DEMs together for the whole TBRPC region, or actually our Resiliency Coalition region, which is 7 counties. And it helped me so much that you all had already mosaicked the DEMs from this is what I think happened from the state, because they're
Yes.
only available, in these kind of arbitrary blocks, and you mosaicked them by county together.
Yep.
And that was such a save of my time. And then additionally, I've just used a lot of the imagery data as well for our vulnerability assessment work and other resiliency planning. So I just wanted to call out this link, and I wasn't sure if this was duplicated in that data portal somewhere.
It is not, and it's because thank you for this, Ashley. This is a great reminder. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is available here only on ShareFile because they're such large data sets. It's cumbersome and problematic to put them on the open data portal. So yes, there is LiDAR data out here. And a lot of times I think it's important to point out, we even have our own experts and engineers call digital elevation models LiDAR data. And of course it's not. LiDAR data is basically the point cloud, and we classify that point cloud as ground or buildings or trees or whatever, whatever it is. But then we create digital elevation models or surface digital elevation models out of that. And we use those primarily for our watershed modeling, which basically we update the FEMA floodplains for various watersheds in our district. And there's a cycle. We do these every so often. And those projects take 3 to 5 years. They're quite extensive. They require LiDAR to be flown, and then we have to do modeling and map culverts, and they do an excellent job. It's called our GIS, our groundwater information system. Takes into account flow across the land using culverts, rivers, lakes, canals, things like that, but also percolation into the ground and evaporation. So anyway, this is, yeah, imagery out here, LiDAR data out here, some watershed data. That's the stuff I was just talking about. Lots of good stuff out here. So thank you for sharing that. So any questions?
Corey, this is Cynthia Scalhorn from Citrus County.
Hey, Cynthia.
I we've been asked a few times by the builders in our county for updated contour lines.
Yep.
And I understand that that wasn't part of the statewide LiDAR project to create new contour lines, but
Yep.
is that anything that you guys are looking at? I'm obviously having the DEMs, it's much more detailed than
Yeah.
what you have with the contour lines, but
Yeah.
I guess they're used to working with those and seeing those, and so they've been
Yes.
asking pretty regularly if we're gonna have
Yeah.
new.
That's a great point, that last point you made, because they're so used to doing it the way they've always done it. They just want to
Yeah.
continue to do it that way instead of actually using a digital elevation model, which
Right.
obviously is, as you're, implying, is much more accurate. But well, we've always done this way, and we like to look at lines on a map. And
Yes,
okay, well, have
exactly.
you looked at the entire surface? Because we have that. We'd rather have some lines, and there's gaps obviously within those lines, and it's modeled, and it's there's contour lines are as much art as they are science, if not more, right? Because
Yeah,
it's interpolating from an interpolation. So
right.
we are doing that internally. If I'll put my email in here, if you want to shoot me an email, and I'll see how far along my staff member is and see what we can get you, because I know that was a project that I had set up for her not too long ago. And
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
check on the status, and we can share that if she's done.
All right. Yeah, that would be really helpful if you all are working on that, and somehow we could share that to the building community here.
I'm not sure we'll do it, but it would be probably a good idea for us to get out there and show them the digital elevation models and what they can do with it,
Yes, maybe that would be helpful too. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Sean, I think those were older ones, if I'm not mistaken. These here, I think these are older. So we have more current LiDAR data that we've used to derive, contours more recently. Now at the state level, they're also discussing, basically doing this LiDAR statewide collect every, I think, 5 years, every 3 years, which is a lot of data. Richard, do you recall the status of those discussions?
I'm sorry, what was the question, Corey?
The digital, sorry, the LiDAR, statewide LiDAR. I can't recall if that officially went through or if it's still being discussed to be collected every 3 years.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I
Okay.
know that was discussed at the last managers meeting, but I don't recall the outcome.
Okay. Yeah. So that is being discussed as well. So, creating, if we do that every 3 years, then it's almost like you can't catch up sometimes. You got to create contours and digital elevation models, and then other things that you do with those products. And watershed modeling, like we're not going to do the district every 3 years and remodel watersheds. So, but that data is being discussed, and that would be quite amazing to have that every 3 years. So, any other questions?
Okay, and then Renee will get to your question from the chat.
Oh, I didn't see it.
So my quick question is, so I'm faculty at UF. I also work for the Geoplan Center, but I teach a graduate level GIS 2 class to planners.
Yep.
Do you have a write-up on how the district creates the population projections?
Yes.
for the water management district that I could share with these graduate planning students that are in a GIS2 class?
Yeah. Yeah. Hang on a sec. I'll actually do that now. So go out to here. So if you, oh, I'm frozen. My web page is frozen.
I can drop the link in the chat, Corey.
Yeah. Well, I was going to take them to the demographics portion of the web page. And then, yeah, from there, Richard is now, I've managed that project for a decade. Richard is the project manager now for the population projections. But if you go back to our homepage, which is frozen for me, and then go to demographics, there's, I think, 4 parts to that demographics page. And in one of those, there's a PDF that links to how they create the population projections using, in GIS. I would also, oh, it's moving now. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so demographics, and then is it part 3?
It's section C, I think. Yeah.
Okay, yep. So you come to section C, you can download each of the individual population projection layers I showed you in the other page as well in the open data portal. You can also download them here. And then here is some PDFs. So the methodology, this is an old one, but it just kind of was a presentation they had given years ago. But this updates PDF just kind of tells us and everyone else what was done differently, what's changed since the previous annual. These are done annually, by the way. We do this annually. And this top one kind of goes through the methodology. And it's kind of at a high level, but as you can see, this was developed in 2025 and just goes through the high level of how we estimate population projections moving forward. We also, we consider seasonal residents. We that's why we have the lodging facilities layer we have out there. We basically get bed and breakfasts, hotels, motels. We use hospital admission data for seasonal folks. So we have permanent population in those GIS layers. You open the table, you'll see kind of permanent population. Then we have tourists, we have net commuters, because in a given area, more people leave Pasco than come to work in Pasco, and more people come to Tampa than leave Tampa. So we've got net commuter, we have permanent plus seasonal. We've got some other cohorts that are in there that should be discussed in here. So I hope that
Excellent.
helps.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Corey, you got one more question in the chat. Renee asked, does SwiftMud activate for a storm/disaster incident?
Yes, we do. It kind of depends on what's needed and what is needed from us. Um, you know, we have a lot of facilities. We have water control structures, other things that we're responsible for, and so we have a lot of people that activate that go out to these structures and maybe open them manually. We have people that are controlling the structures remotely. If there's requests for maps and data or analysis, we'll activate most likely remotely, but sometimes we'll have to go in the office. It all sort of depends on where the storm is. And we have a whole internal process for level 1, level 2, level 3, who gets activated and when. But the Florida GIO holds a daily, basically GIS storm brief when the storms are kind of coming our way. And you can be part of that. I would contact the Florida GIO. There's a email contact information on that webpage I shared earlier where you can reach out to them. Yeah, on here. So you can contact them here and ask to be added to the daily briefings when storms are imminent and when they've passed. There'll be daily briefings after as well. So yes, we do activate. It just depends on the storm, where it is, and to what level.
Any other questions for Corey?
Thanks, Ashley.
All right, thanks, Corey. We would appreciate your time. All right, I'm gonna try and reshare here.
My pleasure.
Okay. Allison, can you see my screen? Like clean PowerPoint?
Not yet.
Good to see you, Sean Landry. How you doing?
Allison, can you see that?
Yeah, it's
Okay. All right, now I'm going to move into our discussion for this meeting, which is AI for GIS. And I just have 3 or 4 slides in hopes that I can help frame the discussion that will happen. I have some prompting questions too, if we're feeling a little shy, and then hopefully we'll wind down about 10:55 so we can get to Sarah's spiel about civic technology at TBRPC. So some types of AI that I think are relevant to us, this is just my typology. You can classify it in a bunch of different ways, but I think some relevant AI topics for us are machine learning, deep learning, predictive analytics, and then those generative AI products, including LLMs and map generators, and then AI agents. I just dropped some tools on this slide to hopefully spark some discussion. So first off, just, all those LLMs that we know about, ChatGPT, Gemini, and then maybe some more code specific products. I'd love to hear from, I'm guessing like Marcus at TBEP is using GitHub Copilot, and if anybody else is using those code specific products. I'm also just starting to learn about some Google Earth AI models that were recently released. A lot of them center around climate and weather. And then I'm also guessing that a lot of us on this call are using those pre-trained deep learning models from ArcGIS. And they're mostly centered around imagery, feature extraction, pixel classification, stuff like that. And then I don't know if we got any other FME nerds on the call. I'm a big FME user, and much like data, they're sort of this, I call them the Swiss Army knife of data. It seems like they're taking a similar approach to AI systems and machine learning. And then on the right-hand side, some ArcGIS Pro tools. I'm not part of the new 3.5 beta program for AI, what they're calling their Geo AI program, excuse me. But they have in beta now an ArcPy coding assistant right in Pro. They have what they're calling their model builder suggestions. It's a way to autocomplete a model that you're working on. So it'll make suggestions what it thinks should come next. And then in ArcGIS Pro, if you're using the imagery analyst extension, there's in the ribbon, there's a deep learning toolbox there that I know about. I'm sure there's a ton more stuff that you all can share with us. And then ArcGIS Online has a bunch of assistants in beta right now, basically for every app, Story Maps, Hub, and the like. And then at TBRPC, we're mostly an Esri shop, so I don't work very much with open source GIS, but my sense is there's a lot more AI entry points into open source products, and thus more innovation. Something I found that I thought was really cool that took me back to my early days in GIS is this company, Bunting Labs, has created a co-pilot for vectorizing lines and polygons in QGIS, which I thought was really neat. And I think I got 2 more slides here and then we'll get to you all. Just some essential skills I think are important when thinking about AI in general, and AI for GIS is how important prompt engineering and teaching the AI is. I think, it's kind of relatable. A lot of people will say like, oh, ChatGPT is so dumb, when you just put in a random question. But if you kind of like teach the AI with context and examples and help iterate and break your ask into smaller steps, it generally works a lot better. And I think that goes for a lot of the generative AI systems and tools. And I think it's really important, when working with AI agents to define guardrails And then finally, these last two bullets are probably the most important is, knowing what good looks like. For example, if you're using a map generator or you're using an LLM to write something, if you don't know what good writing or a good map looks like, the AI is going to let you down for sure. And then most important, critical thinking. And this is my last slide. Just some concerns and benefits that I see is on the concern side, security. That's something I want to learn from you all and how you're approaching AI slop and misinformation, and then generative AI plagiarism of human work, and environmental impact as an example, just the data centers we're hearing about in rural communities and what that's changing there, model bias. And then this last concern, I wasn't quite sure how to word this, but with AI, I'm concerned primarily with the limitation of human perspective and novel ideas. I think each one of us brings our personal and work experience to the table at our jobs. And I think, if you're trying to solve an analytical problem or, make a cool new map or something like that, like if you just go straight to the AI, that just throws your experience and your team's experience out the window. So I think it's always important to start with a person first, and then maybe have the AI iterate with you. On the benefit side, certainly increased productivity, and then data insights, innovation, and educational opportunities. All right, so I'm done with my slides there. I thought I'd open the discussion up with kind of like an easy ask of you all. And I know we have some, different cities and counties on the line, other organizations. And I was wondering if you all have any security restrictions at your organization around AI usage. And do you have an AI policy yet?
This is Corey Swiftmont. We do. I don't know all the details at the moment, but we're using Copilot, and we shut off the external portion of it, so we're not sharing what we're asking, so it doesn't get out there in case it's got sensitive information, and also not making us vulnerable to what could come as a result of that data getting out there. So it's kind of in its own, like almost like an intranet. It's almost internally kept. There's been some issues with it, so we've been communicating with Microsoft to ensure that when we do kind of shut off that setting, that it's being applied properly. And then we're also using some of the AI stuff in ArcGIS Pro. For example, building footprints from imagery and other data sets where it can kind of auto find those and go through it. So we are testing some things now.
Cool, thanks, Corey, for sharing. Do any of the counties want to share what they're doing with AI, like in terms of security or policy? I would imagine, I'm just going to call people out, sorry, Pinellas County or Hillsborough County, you all might be there already. Manatee?
So Pinellas County, I would say I'm not directly involved in it, but I know our the BTS, our business technology services that I work for, we do have an AI policy that's countywide, and some of the things that Corey was talking about with what to expose and configure that, we're going through that right now. But we are rolling out Copilot chat, I think, to individuals, to the countywide, and so I, in the middle of it. I'm not the guy to ask though, so I'm more just kind of up to speed at a high level. I know what's going on, but we've got some people that are up to their eyeballs in that kind of stuff. I just try and stay in my GIS lane.
Gotcha. Thanks, Jamie.
I guess one other thing to add is with the AI and learning and things like that, we are trying to we're actively engaging Esri right now to see if we probably have like 50,000 pictures of damaged houses from the last hurricanes, and so there's a lot of the Esri models, and we've got this model and does that. So we're engaging at the leadership levels of Esri and I've got documentation that I needed, like agreements and stuff to sign over to if we were going to share this stuff, but maybe build something that might help us with storms. So you take a picture of a house and it may have more detailed information. At the Esri user conference, I saw demos where it was like, oh, does this house have water damage? And it was automatically populating a form with yes. And so we want to try and get it, even more detailed as, maybe classifying it as major or minor or things like that. So very, very early conversations with that, but we're engaging and we're going back and forth, and they're sending me agreements to sign and things like that. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Cool. Thank you, Jamie, for sharing that. Yeah, I saw, I didn't go to the UC, but I saw a recording of they were taking pictures of damaged roads and automating that whole process to just create work orders and stuff like that. So it sounds kind of similar process.
So here at Manatee, we actually have an AI work group that meets, I believe it's monthly or quarterly. We have our IT department has a current AI IT portfolio project list. And then the most recent meeting that we had, we were discussing Chat GPT versus Copilot and also Gemini and DeepSeek. And I guess some folks are going to be going to a Gartner Day workshop.
Thanks, Shannon. That's
Really
cool.
all that
You guys
came out
have a
of the
work group.
last one.
Sorry, go ahead.
That was really all that came out of the last meeting.
Yeah. But that's awesome that you guys have a work group. It sounds like you're really focused on this.
Hi, Ashley. Sarah Sillers here
Hey,
with
Sarah.
Hillsborough. So my answer is very similar to Jamie's. I don't know what the countywide policies are, but I do know we have access to Copilot, we have access to ChatGPT, and we've been using the deep learning models for a while and continuing to use those and any other new technology. I think I saw what you were talking about identifying the road cracks.
Oh,
I think
cool.
we're going to try exploring that at some point.
Yeah. Sarah, the deep learning stuff you're doing, is that for feature extraction?
Yes.
Oh, okay, awesome. I might have an ask of you. Would you be willing to share that with the group at some point?
Sure. Yeah, we
Okay.
presented on it at the UC. So I
That's
could share
right. Yeah.
I could share the PowerPoint if you'd like.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else from any other counties or cities want to share?
Sarah
Yeah.
Ellis has her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Hey, Sarah. Sarah.
Right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm having microphone issues. So as far as Hillsborough County goes as well, there is a policy in development for AI use, and I do know that the county is going to be going with Copilot as well on an internal basis. Similar, I think, to what Manatee County is doing, or it was Swiftland. I think what Corey, whatever your agency. And one of the things I'm really interested too is using it for post-storm damage assessment, similar to what Jamie's doing. So Jamie, I might be interested in talking to you a bit more about that, whether it's from drone imagery and extracting estimated structure damage or the extraction from photos in Swim 123. And of course, like Sarah said, we've been doing feature extraction and we'd like to expand on what we're doing there. We're just really limited in processing power at this point. That's all I have.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, I see a couple of questions in the chat. Sarah Vitale, did you want to get on mic or do you want to just share this thought?
Yeah, I was just throwing it in the chat. If anybody had any experiences they wanted to share about beyond just the GIS use case, websites in general being blocked by your IT because of AI working in the background of a website, which it's becoming more and more challenging not to find something like that where there's AI embedded in a website. So I'm just curious if anyone else has come across blockers for AI as you're just trying to do your work online. And specifically, Pasco County, I think a few of their staff have had challenges accessing some of our websites, specifically Notion, and different dashboards that have AI in the background.
Yeah, I don't see anybody from Pasco on, but I don't know if I'm seeing all the squares. But yeah, I hope the days of blanket AI, you know, blacklisting is over. I think a lot of people were kind of freaked out by some stuff in the beginning, but hopefully, people can, create an approach where you can use the tools but not risk any security stuff. Kate, did you want to hop on the mic and ask this question?
Sure. So once again, I'm teaching at UF, but I'm also FGDL. We're the Geoplan Center. We do a lot of work all across the state. As we start to bring GeoAI into our classrooms, it's really helpful because we are teaching future planners what are the needs that currently exist. What are the top things that you need your new employees or your new interns, that are coming from grad school to know, or what would be helpful? So if we have an understanding of what your needs are, then it's easier to teach those things. So I don't know if anybody has a list or an idea, but that would, any kind of knowledge like that's always helpful to get back.
Yeah, Kate, that's an awesome question. I've been kind of thinking about this for early career people and just the shift with a lot of folks in college just having access to these tools.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of access to tools that I'm concerned they're not going to have access to at other organizations, because UF has this amazing site license, which allows them to access a lot of things. But I think what I tried to do is teach them the critical thinking side. And then, if you know how to use one tool in something, it's kind of easier to adapt that idea. So teaching big concepts of things usually is easier and not just within a certain tool. So, but if knowing from your groups, if there's something that's a big need, that's really helpful, because then I can incorporate that in a homework assignment where they're getting exposed to that. And then they're not just seeing it for the first time when they come to work or when they come to an internship. So anything you want to send me out my email in the chat, if anybody has a thought later.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Yeah, I would definitely echo the need for young professionals with that critical thinking skill, and not using it as a crutch, because I feel like kids coming up today, they're so tech savvy anyway. It's just like any new platform you throw on them is good. It's just, can they think thoroughly of why am I making this thing? Why am I using this product? Is this helpful? Am I limiting perspective? All that kind of stuff. So, all right, Marcus threw in some stuff in the chat there. I do see that I'm coming up on the 10:55 mark. Did anybody want to share any tools or projects that they're working on? It sounds like Sarah's doing some cool stuff over at Hillsborough County with deep learning. Any other projects that we want to share? This might be a good segue into our next meeting agenda as we build that. I was kind of hoping we can do some quick lightning talks and share projects together, maybe from the cities and counties this time rather than the region and the state. But anybody else, as we start to close down the discussion, want to pipe up?
Hey, Ashley, this is Renee from Pinellas County.
Hey, Renee.
Just a little update. So at the governor's hurricane conference this year, they did have a couple AI discussions there, and kind of speaking to more the damage assessment, feature detection side. They did recommend, in some cases we're a little limited by regulation. I get, maybe that's not the right word, but FEMA standards for data reporting, state standards for data reporting, and One thing that they did recommend, there was kind of a panelist discussion, was um, not necessarily letting that be a roadblock, but starting to kind of supplement the data that we're currently reporting with some of these automated technologies. And the more that we kind of supplement, you know, over time, the buy-in will be there. And so I think a group like this is a really great way to do that, because it has a kind of a broader regional scale, and just kind of you know, adding these technologies to our current tool set as far as the traditional data reporting is a really great way to get buy-in or acceptance of some of this stuff at the state and federal scale.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Renee. You gave me a perfect segue to what Sarah's going to talk about, because I don't want us to just be focusing on data with this group, although, you know, that I'm a data person, so I think it's super important, but I want to keep on top of this technology piece, because I feel like, you know, myself included, it's just everything is changing so rapidly. I want to be in the know and be working as efficiently as possible. So I'm going to pass the mic now to Sarah Vitale. Sarah, do you want to talk about civic tech at TBRPC now, please?
Hi, everyone. So thanks, Ashley. Just like you said, everything's changing so quickly, and that really sparked this need for us as the regional council to focus in on technology and have a dedicated role in trying to track some of these big trends and synthesize how they may affect local government staff as they move blazingly fast into everyday life. So we are, I guess, launching a new civic technology program. And the very first step in that is asking all our stakeholders to complete this survey. It's going to help guide what the civic technology program focuses on. We know, and there's been expressed needs for the last year or two about technical assistance. So we want to focus our staff there. Ashley and Allison and a few of our other staff are pretty technically savvy, and we have a lot of expertise to share. So now we're focusing on how best to do that. Is it through one-on-one trainings? Like, what would be most effective, and what are the areas within GIS, 3D visualization, and other types of technical topics that how best can we support our members? That's the focus for our civic technology program. But with your help, and if you complete this survey here, we'll be able to really dive in deeper on that. We're also focusing on economic modeling tools and website development tools. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware we have the civic technology focus, and to please complete the survey so you can get on our list and be invited to whatever meetings come about in the next few months. I was able to attend, let's see, let me share it real quick. If you won't mind, I'll steal your screen for just a second. Can you see this? The Cesium Developers Conference. I was able to attend this conference a couple months ago, and one of the first big contributions from our Civic Tech program is a summary of what I think will be relevant for our stakeholders in regard to Cesium. And I am interested, it's a longer conversation, who has experience and is working with Cesium. But they had a couple different tracks that were really focused on AI, climate and disaster resilience, and 3D technology. And real high level, Cesium is a tool to use to develop digital twins. So these digital twin technologies, that's one of the forefront issues, and one of the ones we'll be tackling near term with Civic Tech. But just thank you for your time, and please complete the survey, and we'll talk soon.
Sarah, thanks for that. And I just thought of, because Sarah has a lot of cool 3D visualization that she's done. And that would be cool if you don't mind, Sarah, maybe you could demo that at the next meeting. When we're meeting November 6th, and that idea that I mentioned was just something I was throwing around in my head for some lightning talks from group members. And I thought we could share our GIS Day event plans. And if anybody else has any ideas, just let me know, and you can always reach out to me or Allison or Sarah if you need anything. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up unless anybody wants to chime in before we sign off. No?
Thank you, Ashley.
All right, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Corey, for presenting. I appreciate you. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right,
We'll see
thank
you
you.
next time.